In this video, I'm going to break down the top airdrops that I am personally focused on farming in 2025. And if it's on the list and included in this video, it means I think there is still time to farm it. And in many of these cases, you are actually still very early. There's going to be a lot of potential for farmers in 2025. And these are some of the best targets in my personal opinion. Now, in this video, I'm going to break the airdrop targets down into a variety of different categories. And for each one that I mentioned, I'm going to tell you why I think that it's bullish or why it has potential. And I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of how you can get started farming it. Now, I'm not going to go into super in-depth detail for each one because this video is already going to be quite long. So let's get started. The first category that I wanted to touch on is on-chain social. Now, this has not really ever fully taken off or reached mainstream adoption. There's probably a variety of reasons for that, but there's two specific targets that I think you could focus on. The first one is Warpcast. Now, this is the main application for Farcaster, which has raised 9 figures in funding. They don't currently have a token, and it is very possible that if you farm this by creating a profile, posting and interacting, joining different groups, and also minting frames and just generally interacting with all the different features of this app, then you could qualify for an airdrop. And while this one has been around for a little while, I think there probably is still time, and just based on the massive amount of funding they have, I think it's worthwhile. And also very low risk or low effort. All you have to do is create a profile. It's not going to cost you a huge amount of money or anything like that. And you can just interact with people on here. If you come back daily and post something, it's going to potentially flag your profile for the airdrop when it comes through. Now, the other one that's kind of similar is Lens. This is another on-chain social. Oh, and by the way, this Warpcast is on Base and Lens is on Polygon, although they are going to be launching apparently their own chain, their own network. So the way that Lens works is you mint an on-chain profile, and then the main application for Lens is called hey.xyz. I'll leave links to this stuff down below, but the principle is very similar. Once you create a profile, just make some posts. All of the posts that you make on Lens are on-chain. You actually have to sign transactions to, for example, do different stuff. And then, yeah, you can go to the main page here, just scroll through, like people's stuff, repost stuff, whatever. All the stuff that you do here is on-chain, and your wallet will potentially qualify for an airdrop. Now, the Lens airdrop, I've seen a lot of people speculating on for well over a year now. They have not nearly as much funding as Farcaster. However, they have a pretty solid history, and they're backed by the same founder who created Aave, which is basically the biggest DeFi protocol in all of crypto. And all of that considered, I think that there is actually still potentially time to do this. And since it's so low effort, all you have to do is create a profile and then, come back maybe daily, weekly, whatever you have the time and energy for, and just do a few things. All right, next up, let's move to the next category, which is betting markets. There's 2 that I'm going to focus on because neither of these have tokens. Now, Polymarket is by far the biggest crypto betting market worldwide, and I'm sure you've heard of it. However, they have a huge amount of funding. They haven't dropped a token yet. And since the US election, actually volumes on Polymarket have decreased quite a bit. So I feel like there is still potentially chance to actually, interact with this and make money from an airdrop. Now, I actually have a full-length tutorial on Polymarket where I walk through my strategy for moving volume on the platform without necessarily risking a huge amount of capital when it comes to actually making bets. So I'll leave a link to that video down below if you want to check out the full-length video. But aside from that, the main thing that you need to do once you fund an account is just move volume. You want to probably bet on as many different markets as you can and move as much volume as you can. Now, the other betting market that I think is interesting is Triad. And this one is actually in a much earlier stage. So in terms of airdrop potential, I would say that, you're up against some pretty major whales in Polymarket, and it has been around for a while. However, they have a huge amount of funding. On the other hand, Triad might not have as much funding, but it's also much less diluted and is much newer, and it has more potential for you to get in on the ground floor. So for example, they don't have a ton of betting markets right now. They refresh them periodically, and I'm thinking that in the new year, they're going to focus on increasing the amount of markets that are live. Triad is on Solana as opposed to Polymarket, which is on Polygon. So on Solana, this is basically the only, as far as I know, dedicated betting market. Drift has one, but they also have a token. Triad, they have an airdrop campaign on right now called the Atlantis Points campaign. So if you click up here, you can go through, there's a variety of different tasks that you need to do in order to earn tridents or points that involve some on-chain stuff, like actually placing bets on the platform, and also some social stuff, and you can come back daily and claim some tridents. So there's daily, weekly, and season rewards. And then, yeah, whenever they have new betting markets available for Triad, I recommend trying to move a little bit of volume for this and see if you can't rank up the leaderboard. I feel like betting markets, global betting markets, are a pretty interesting use case for crypto. And being as how this one is quite new, I think it has some potential. They also have an NFT collection. However, those can be expensive, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend you go and spend a huge amount of money to pick up those NFTs unless you know what you're doing. There's obviously risks associated with all of this type of stuff. But yeah, keep an eye on different markets going live on Triad, and if and when you see an opportunity to move some volume without risking a significant amount of capital, then this could be a solid airdrop target. All right, next up, let's talk about some other Solana airdrops. Triad technically could fall in this category as well, but I included it in betting markets. But there's two Solana airdrops that I want to focus on right now. Of course, there's going to be a lot more, but these are two ones that I think are A, relatively new, and B, you still have a solid chance to actually rank up and do well in them. So the first one I want to talk about is this meme or M3 coin that was launched. Now this is officially associated with DYOR, and basically the way that it works is if you stake the M3 token, you earn daily rewards from the LP fees. So right now, for the amount that I have staked, I'm earning $10 a day in LP fees, but you also get airdrops from this. There's already been several examples. There's a good little infographic here from Fabiano.sol that walks through how this system works. And so the more of this coin that you stake, the more that you can potentially earn. Of course, there's definitely risks associated with this because you need to have the token, you need to stake it or lock it up, and you need to be in the top 1,000 rank of stakers in order to earn the daily rewards. However, in order to get the airdrops, you don't need to be in the top 1K stakers. Everybody gets the airdrops based on the amount that they have staked. Now, I think this is a pretty solid airdrop Lego or yield Lego play because if you're in the top 1K, you get the daily rewards. You get the variety of different airdrops that come through from this. And recently there was one that people got anywhere from tens of dollars to hundreds of dollars, depending on how much they had staked. And then since it is associated with, or basically launched by the DYOR team, I think there is also some potential that if DYOR does an airdrop this year, then this will be included somehow. You don't earn MET points for staking this coin. However, I would be kind of surprised if this wasn't included in some way, shape, or form in the DYOR airdrop as well. And since DYOR has been around and farming this has been going on for such a long time with such a huge amount of capital, I think this is an interesting new way to get involved in that. So that is the first Solana airdrop that I wanted to highlight. I actually just picked up all of these tokens the other day and staked them. I got in at a relatively good entry point because the chart has actually been kind of down only for the last little while. And I'm interested to see how this one goes. I don't think that the DYOR team is going to let a project like this die since they've basically launched it themselves. All right, the next new Solana airdrop target that I wanted to highlight is this one, Adrasti Finance. And this one is actually an airdrop Lego because we can hit at least 3 things at once while farming this. Now the TLDR on this is that it's a new liquid restaking protocol on Solana that's working with Solana. So in order to participate, you need to deposit one of these 3 assets, Solana, staked Sol with Solana, or staked with Solana, and then delegated to Sonic's SVM validator. They currently have a limit or a cap on the amount that can be restaked, which is approaching relatively quickly. And when you make a deposit or you stake with them, you will get a liquid restaked token in your wallet. So let me go over here. So I put 15 Sol into this, but it's liquid and in my wallet. So if you ever want to get out of it, you can swap out automatically on Jupiter instantly. If you want to unstake, you can do that as well, although there is an unstaking period. Now, there's another way that you can farm this, and that is by joining a team. And the team that you join is going to help you basically rank up the leaderboard and get better rewards. So if you want to join the team that was created by one of the members in my Discord, not actually me personally, you can put code Cove into this when you actually sign up. There's an invite code that you can put down here. And when you put code Cove in there, you will join our team. And if we rank up, we will, as a team, do better for this airdrop. And so yeah, this is an interesting play because it's going to help you hit Soul Layer and the Layer airdrop. It's going to help you hit Sonic. They're gonna have more rounds of their airdrop. They just did round 1, I think last week. And then of course, it's going to help you hit this new one, Adrasty, as well. They currently have only 14 million in TVL, so I wouldn't say that it's super diluted, and there is still solid potential to rank up. With my deposit of 15 Soul, I am ranked 441, just to give you a frame of reference on that. All right, now let's move to the next category of airdrops, and that is going to be trading. Again, I have 2 possible airdrop targets for you. The first is going to be probably the most hyped, get it, airdrop of 2024, and that is Hyperliquid. Now, they are going to be having another round of their airdrop, and there is obviously a solid potential to farm this one because their token is now worth so much that even if you just get a small allocation for it, you could potentially do quite well. Now, this one, I have to highlight and put a big red stamp on it, is super, super risky. So if you don't know what you're doing when it comes to actually trading on perp platforms like Hyperliquid, then I would say skip this one or do a lot of research and get comfortable before you start actually messing around with real money, because it's easy to get wrecked. On the other hand, if you are comfortable and you know what you're doing and you have a relatively high risk tolerance, obviously the risk reward of moving volume on a platform like Hyperliquid is quite good. And what you need to do to qualify for the second round of their airdrop is just trade. The more volume, the more points, and the better you'll do. Now there's some other ecosystem plays. For example, PvP.trade is powered by Hyperliquid and could have some sort of relevance for airdrop 2. Again, quite risky. This is trading on Telegram. And then a third one that you might consider looking into if you're interested in Hyperliquid is Kinetic, which is liquid staking on Hyperliquid. So basically they're turning into a layer 1, even though they're technically on Arbitrum and they're a perp dex, but there's a lot of stuff going on here. So you can explore the platform, you can stake assets and deposit into vaults and earn yield. But I still think that for round 2 of the airdrop, the most important thing would be to actually just continue moving volume on the platform. The second trading related airdrop that I think has some potential is Moonshot. I made a full tutorial on this one. Again, risks associated with this because you're trading meme coins or AI coins. But the reason why I think this one has some decent potential is because it's basically the most retail friendly meme coin trading platform that's only focused on crypto, aside from maybe Robinhood, but Robinhood doesn't list nearly half of the different meme coins and AI coins that Moonshot lists. So when it comes to actually retail accessibility, I think this is probably the best for meme coin trading because you can just download the app on your phone and mess around with it. And if they drop a token, it could be a massive liquidity event and get a bunch of normies excited about trading. So I think there is potential here, although of course there's risks. All right, the next category of airdrops that I wanted to highlight are Bitcoin ecosystem airdrops. Now this is an interesting little chart here that shows the funding raised by a variety of different Bitcoin L2s or rollups or sidechain projects. And you can see that in total, a lot of money has been raised and not that many tokens have been dropped. We're expecting to see a wave of Bitcoin ecosystem airdrops in 2025. And for some of them, there is still time. Now, one that I wanted to highlight here is Mezzo, $28.5 million in funding. You can make a deposit and earn points, but also they have launched a testnet or a matsnet. And this one, I know there's gonna be people after watching this that are gonna be like, oh, well, you're talking about all these airdrops that require TVL, but what about something that is free? Well, you can mess around with the matsnet, which is currently in the alpha phase. And if you get a solid allocation from doing this, then you could actually get a decent payout for doing nothing that requires actually a capital investment or risk on your part. Now, they keep rolling out new features and new functionality. At this point, there's a burgeoning little ecosystem here, and you can trade meme coins on Matsnet and mess around with a bunch of other stuff. So I would recommend checking it out if you're interested in the Bitcoin ecosystem and you want something to explore that doesn't cost money. If you want to make a deposit, you can do that, although I would say on that side of this airdrop campaign, there might be less time. But Matsnet itself is very new and you could still be early. Now, another Bitcoin ecosystem airdrop where I think there is still time is Corn. They just launched mainnet a couple of weeks ago. So they had a pre-launch deposit phase where you could just deposit assets and earn points, but they just launched mainnet. You can bridge to it here by going to the Corn application, clicking bridge, and the gas token on Corn is BTC or BTCN. And once you have that, you can bridge tokens over and start messing around with the ecosystem. You can earn yield by checking out some of the DeFi protocols that are integrated, and they are going to have an airdrop as well. So I would say that exploring now their new mainnet launch is relatively early, and if you wanted to check this out, it has some solid potential. It's basically another Bitcoin rollup. It's on Ethereum, and you can use an EVM wallet to interact with it, but the gas token is Bitcoin. Of course, there's other Bitcoin ecosystem projects that I think are pretty bullish. Some of them a little bit late, and I can't list every single one here, but if you wanted to just take a look at this and check out some of the other projects on this list, I think this is an interesting place to start. All right, now let's talk about completely new networks and new chains that I think you should take a look at if you want to start farming things today from scratch. The first one that I wanted to highlight is Eclipse. So they launched on mainnet not that long ago. You're still relatively early to this, and there's some friction to actually farming this one because you have to get a new type of wallet. Well, you can use the backpack wallet if you already have that. Otherwise, you have to get an Eclipse friendly wallet. So it's not the same as an Ethereum wallet or a Solana wallet, but it uses ETH as the gas token, and the experience of actually transacting on Eclipse is similar to the experience of transacting on Solana or Ethereum. So the process for getting started with Eclipse is you're gonna have to get some funds to it. You can bridge using the official bridge, which I would recommend doing probably at least one time in case that's relevant. But then afterwards, if you want to bridge from, say, another Ethereum L2, you can use bridges like L2 Finance, which is going to be a lot cheaper because you don't have to pay ETH mainnet gas fees. They also do have a gas refuel where you can pay in Sol or Solana USDC and then get a small amount of gas on the Eclipse network. Now, once you've got some assets on Eclipse, you're probably going to want to mint some TETH, which is their native liquid restaked token. It earns you yield. And just by holding that, you can actually potentially qualify for the airdrop. But if you want to take your farming to the next level, definitely go check out the ecosystem tab on this website right here. They've actually got tons of different applications that are live. One thing I recommend checking out is Astral Finance. I've supplied a small amount of TETH here, but you can rank up relatively quickly with a small deposit. They've got a point system, so that's an airdrop Lego there. It's just a money market for Eclipse, and you can earn yield. They've also got an NFT collection called After School Club, or ASC. It is quite expensive, but there's pretty serious speculation that this is going to come with a sizable allocation. And there's other NFT collections, including validators, which you can check out by going to Scope, which is the NFT marketplace right now for Eclipse. So among all those things, there's also other stuff. I recommend scrolling through the ecosystem page here and just checking out and interacting with different dApps if you want to explore this new ecosystem. Since it has, like I said, that friction, and since it's relatively new, even just by bridging a couple $100 and pushing a few transactions per week, I think your wallet will do quite well for this. All right, another new network that I wanted to talk about is Fuel. Now, they launched airdrop round 1 just a little while ago, and that incentivized deposits, pre-launch deposits. However, now they're in phase 2, and I think this is a place where after phase 1, a lot of people either bridged out, withdrew their assets, or just didn't continue farming it. And now it's actually focusing on activity points as well, and gas spend. So there's different ways that you can farm this. And even if you don't have a huge pool of capital, 5, 6, 7 figures to farm with, you can still rank up with the activity points and the gas points. The more that you spend on fees and the more transactions that you push and apps that you interact with, the better you'll do for airdrop round 2. And since, like I said, I do think it is relatively under-farmed in round 2, this one has some solid potential. It doesn't have a huge amount of TVL right now. You can track your points in the dashboard here. And then one thing you could consider is actually staking fuel tokens if you already have some from round 1 of the airdrop, or if you're gonna buy some to actually participate in farming round 2. Not that many people are staking, and there's a list of validators here that you can delegate to. I actually know these guys, Krypto. They're good guys, so I would always delegate to them on any chain that they're actually validating on. And yeah, I do think that this one is worth exploring for round 2 and potentially future rounds of their airdrop. Now, another one that's pretty hyped up that a lot of people are talking about is Abstract. Now, one thing to note, this is the Abstract team saying that the testnet is not incentivized. So don't waste your time pushing testnet transactions because, yeah, you're just gonna waste your time. However, there is some stuff that you can do now to potentially qualify for Abstract when it launches, aside from trying to farm the testnet. The first thing that I would say is join the Discord, be active in there if you have time for doing this, and this is a low risk and potentially high reward activity if you have the time to spend. Another thing that you want to try and do is get on some of the NFT collection whitelists for the Abstract ecosystem, because there's probably going to be a heavy focus on airdropping to participants in the NFT ecosystem. In this Twitter thread right here, there's a list of all of these different projects. So if you want to go through, check them out, try to get whitelists for them. I think that that's potentially a good way that you can start positioning yourself for Abstract. But this one is relatively new, and the concrete tasks that you can do aren't really necessarily on chain at this point, since they've literally confirmed that the testnet won't be incentivized. But you can position yourself for some of this stuff if you have the time to do so. Another new network or chain that's in a similar stage is Mega ETH. They haven't actually launched mainnet yet. So in terms of what you can do, it's a little bit vague, but you can join the Discord, you can try to get roles. You can also try and get whitelisted for upcoming NFT mints like this one right here, which is supposedly going to be the first PFP that launches on Mega ETH when they go live. But this one is very, very early. And at this point, the tasks that you do are social, Discord grinding, trying to get roles and whitelists and things like that. So if you have time, those last 2 options are for testnet farmers or people that don't have a lot of capital but potentially have some time and you want to get in super, super early on the ground floor. Mega ETH is another one of these new networks that has some potential for 2025. All right, let's move now to the next category, which is AI. Now, in terms of farming AI airdrops, there's not really anything guaranteed. However, one thing that we've seen is that people that trade on the Virtuals platform or that just hold some of these Virtuals AI agents in their wallet have been qualifying for airdrops. I've already gotten 2 or 3 just from holding a few AI tokens from Virtuals. So there is some actual solid potential if the AI ecosystem continues to get a lot bigger and a bunch of new tokens decide to do airdrops in the same type of way, that by holding some of these tokens or by just trading and experimenting with Virtuals, you could qualify. However, this one is definitely risky, so I have to mention that, of course. Another similar idea is with this Hollow World and the AVA token. They've got an ecosystem as well with agents. And yeah, if you experiment with these, there is potential. But I'm not going to focus too much on the AI ecosystem because it's a little bit more abstract in terms of whether or not there will be future airdrops. I personally think that there probably will, but I can't really put any certainty on that. But I did still want to mention it, and I personally have been doing a decent amount of trading, particularly on the Virtuals platform. Now, the next category of airdrops that I'm farming in 2025 that I think has some solid potential are bridges or interoperability protocols. A couple haven't dropped tokens yet. Those would be Hyperlane, so definitely still push transactions for Hyperlane. This is their link tree here with all of the different bridges that are integrated with Hyperlane, and you can just push transactions through all of these to try and increase your volume and the number of transactions. So Hyperlane, number one. Number two is Jumper. Unclear whether or not they're going to be dropping anytime soon, and you're maybe not early to this at this point, but I'm still pushing transactions almost every day, certainly every week on Jumper. And then Bungie also hasn't dropped a token. They have a point system live. And in this case, yeah, I think there potentially is still time. Then aside from the tokens that haven't dropped yet, there is also Layer 0 round 2, probably going to be coming out in like May, June of this year. And I still push transactions through the Layer 0 protocol relatively frequently. Airdrop number 2 is probably going to cook. There's definitely still time to farm it. And then the other one that I've been speculating on is Wormhole round 2, and I push transactions through Wormhole every once in a while just to keep hitting unique weeks, months, and pushing some volume through Wormhole in case Airdrop round 2 happens soon. Wormhole's first airdrop was in March 2024, so if they're waiting for the 1-year anniversary, then potentially there's still a couple of months left to farm that. Then finally, let's talk about some super hyped airdrops that I am either on the fence about or have just decided to fade because I don't really see the point. The first one is Krypto. Now this one, I think it's actually a really interesting platform. I think that the airdrop is probably going to cook for those that get it. However, if you are not an influencer, it's going to be very difficult for you. Even if you are an influencer, I've been finding it difficult. I have literally earned 0 points for this airdrop, even though I have been trying. And the way that you earn points is just by tweeting, basically, or posting on X and replying to other people's tweets. I have been doing a decent amount of that over the past few weeks, and I have gotten literally 0 points. So struggling to do this one. And at this point, even though I do think it's going to be bullish for the people that get it, I'm just skeptical that I will be able to actually rank up for it because so far I've got 0. So you can give it a try if you want. If you discover a really good way to actually farm this successfully, let me know, because whatever I've been doing has not been working. Another airdrop that I think is going to be bullish and is going to drop a huge amount of value, but that I just don't know if I'm going to qualify for much of it, is Chain. Now, the reason why I say that is because the testnet is super diluted, millions of wallets. You have to be, probably botting it and pushing transactions full time to get anything out of the testnet. And then for the pre-launch deposits, we've actually got confirmation from the founder that rank doesn't matter and it's going to be fully linear. And there's basically $1 billion deposited. So anybody that has 5 figures, 6 figures, even like $1 million is going to get peanuts from that because it's just massively diluted on the pre-launch deposit front as well. The only way that you can really probably cook for this airdrop, if you're not like a multi-millionaire, is the NFT collections, but those are very expensive. And so you have to, sort of weigh that. And personally, I don't know if the risk reward is there for me to, spend 5 figures or 6 figures on NFTs to try and get an airdrop out of this. So I'm still kind of just observing and seeing if there's any way that I can actually cook with this. Pendle just launched some farming, so it's possible that if you use, for example, the YT pools on Pendle, you could get a lot of points with relatively little capital, but then you run the risk of burning your capital and then getting burned on the airdrop. So for Chain, although I think it's going to be bullish for the people that get it, I'm kind of on the fence about what to do from here. And then the final one to mention in this last category is Monad. I think that whenever they do launch, or if they ever do launch, it's going to be bullish. However, in terms of actively farming it, they don't even have a testnet yet. The only thing really that you can do is either grind in their Discord and Telegram to try to get rolls, or speculate on NFT collections. Doing things like owning NFT collections on Solana, hoping they get airdrops from Monad, or staking tokens like Wormhole tokens or Pipe tokens, hoping that they get airdrops from Monad. All of that stuff though is super nebulous and speculative, and at this point, I don't really have anything concrete to say about this and what you should do for farming Monad. So yeah, if there ever actually is a network that launches, I think that will be something to take note of, and we'll see if there's anything that we can do moving forward. But that is my list of the top priority airdrops that I'm focusing on for 2025. Of course, there's tons of other stuff that I didn't include on this list here, but just for me personally, those are some of the categories and the category winners or leaders that I think are gonna do the best for airdrop farmers this year. So hopefully you found this little video helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.